Welcome back to another show and tell video. Today we're looking at a vintage piece of equipment here called the self-adjusting T.E.A.M sling. T.E.A.M being an acronym, T.E.A.M, from the B.E.A.M company, also an acronym, B.E.A.M, which I figured out stands for Better Entry Assault Mount. So from looking at this other fine products from the B.E.A.M company, they're also known for this light mount, remote switch for a Streamlight end cap with remote pressure switch. So whatever model of Streamlight was available at the time, possibly that mounted there. So better than hose clamps and duct tape at the time. So we're actually concentrating here on the self-adjusting T.E.A.M sling, and you can see here some contact info at the time. Not sure this company still is in operation. Feel free to research any information you can on the B.E.A.M company. Good luck with that. There are numerous companies called B.E.A.M as well as T.E.A.M. So that makes things a little bit more difficult to parse through the data. But anyways, let's look at what we have here. We actually have a diagram of the sling. And you know what? I actually have the sling. So let's go ahead and look at that as well. I'll try to keep this in reference here. So what this was is a modified design on a sling, which would be a kind of a strap with loop ends, which you can then attach to an item and help balance the weight and assist you with carrying that, keeping your hands free. Or you can also use it as a tension device to help you hold that item steady while you're using it as well. So in this case, it actually shows multiple points here of attachment. This was actually, I believe, a modified category item, so that included at least one extra strap that I remember. So by their instructions and by this diagram here, they would say that the short end goes towards the buttstock, which is this end here, which happens to have this label sewn on as well with the contact info at the time. And this actually here could then be, if I remove this for now, can be attached, as you can see here, to this loop either on the stock or along with the opposite end, which would attach towards more the end of the barrel. Typically you would have some sort of sling swivel. There's various designs of them. This was the traditional type that would go onto a swivel stud, which is a stud with a hole drilled through, which this axle would then mount onto, giving you freedom of movement of the swivel. Other swivels are just this kind of elliptical loop, and that would then thread onto the sling swivel stud as well. This is more of a modified quick detach one. I could probably demonstrate this real quick. By relieving the tension, you can then see I can pivot this out of the way and free up the axle. And then once it's mounted, tighten it back up. But other ones are like these quick detach sling swivels. I just happen to have a few of these around, literally. And these would then thread on however you would like. You would remove this end from all the buckles and then thread this onto here and then put this loop back into the retaining buckles as well, thus securing this in this position there. Likewise on the other end of the sling, something similar in that position as well. Other alternatives are the snap hooks, what they call the HK style. These are actually American-made ones. But additional Porsche pieces that came with this help you mount this at different angles depending on where you want to actually mount this. If you actually want to physically mount it to the stock, then you can wrap this loop around the stock, which would then kind of trap this loop in there as well. And then you would then take up the slack as necessary with these hook and latch Velcro to really get a tight fit right here at this area on the grip area on your stock. Likewise, if this goes on, say, an A1 or A2 solid full-size stock on those type of platforms, you may recall that this would go on the stock this way, but there's also the hard sling swivel under the buttstock. This loop was provided to go around that hard sling swivel point, kind of like that, in that position. So that would keep this from sliding around. So that would be kind of a retention loop there. Likewise, if you have the buttstock of the like XM177 platform, of the collapsible stock, what's also now known as the M4 stock with the loop on top, the legacy one, then this can actually be threaded through there as well to prevent slipping, and then this would then loop onto the sling swivel at the bottom if that is also attached. One modification that I have done to this is that I kind of jury-rigged a more secure buckle and Velcro loop as well. So this can actually be a stronger attachment point than this thinner loop as well. But if we take a closer look at the instructions, you can see here, step 1, you lay out the sling. Step 2, you attach it to the buttstock sling swivels, or the passenger, as they call it, that Velcro strap. And you see continuation of the instructions. You see the diagrams with the labels of the components, how they're oriented. Here's the wider part of the strap, more continued instructions specifically for right-handers versus left-handers. And something about how you're attaching. If your sling swivels are on the bottom, then because of basically gravity, your item will tend to hang upside down, as they mentioned there. Step 3, also to attach the front sling loop either directly to the swivels or around the barrel. I wouldn't do that. Or magazine tube. I wouldn't really do that either. So sling swivels is kind of the way to go. And you can see here for the M16 family, there's specific instructions as well. They say you can actually flip this around. Now, you can also see here on the back a listing of the basic features on this type of sling. So, what they advertised was that with this kind of body retention strap here, this was supposed to keep your item from sliding around if you have hands off, and this was actually attached but with this tension point on the front of your body, if that makes any sense. So it's not a 3-point sling, but it's kind of like a 2.5er with this kind of cross chest strap here. So kind of an interesting design that kind of fell by the wayside, but decades ago this was the hotness, the T.E.A.M sling. And they say here, T.E.A.M sling has been used effectively by patrol officers, special weapons teams, military and police federal units, as well as paintballers and sportsmen. So, interesting too at the bottom that they make no express warranty for this product. There is no implied warranty of there's a nice word, merchantability, and or for a particular use with respect to this product. Buyer assumes any and all risk with respect to the quality and performance of this product. In other words, buyer beware right off. So, given that, this thing is decades old. You can see it's been used, but the assembly was pretty spot on. They heat sealed the edges when they made cuts. This is thicker than seatbelt material here on the thicker area. This definitely has aged over time, so the elasticity of this band is pretty much gone. And this little Velcro piece, again, I replaced that with this piece. But this has been mounted on a variety of platforms just because it was an available sling and just for something for a day trip, you know. But basically about it. This was the attachment hang label, and these were the instructions. So again, taking a look at a vintage sling, the T.E.A.M sling. So feel free to check out other show and tell videos. So we also do a selection of unboxing reviews, a selection of book review media reviews. Feel free to check all those out. Feel free to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. See you next time.